Okay, so here's the deal. As you know, if you've been looking at the other videos, I'm rebuilding, modifying a Yamaha S.h.i.T, I should say, S.h.i.T 600. But in the meantime, I had to get a daily rider, which I mentioned a few vlogs ago, and I was looking at a few different bikes. So I was actually going to buy a Ducati, old school 1993 Ducati 750 SS. Because I've owned Ducatis before, and also I quite like them. Ducatis, really, especially the old Ducatis, like you're either going to ride them or they're going to ride you, right? So it's a really good, I'd say it's an advanced bike, but those bikes are of course a step up. They're real Italian stallions. I've owned quite a few V-twins. I'm a great lover of V-twins. Le Mans Mark 1. What else? It was a Harley Sportster at one stage, believe it or not. And I've ridden many, apart from Ducatis and Moto Guzzi's, Harleys, and all sorts of V-twins. But I've never ever ridden an Aprilia V-twin. So when this came up for probably about half the price of what it should have been, I grabbed it. Now, looking at it like that, it hasn't got the nice clean lines of a Ducati, regardless of year of Ducati. And it actually looks, to me, it looks like a B. However, we're going to take it for a little ride now. I fixed that little problem with the tip over sensor, and I'm not sure about now, but actually this is going to be a very big list. I'm going to do a kind of Doug DeMuro, all the quirks and features, and believe me, it's got quite a few features, but it's got almost an infinite amount of quirks. Just to point out a couple, I did mention in the other video, by the way, these bikes don't have a center stand. Of course, a lot of sports bikes don't. The Moto Guzzi Le Mans did, and it didn't have a side stand, and that was really cool. And I think a bike that weighs 400 pounds and of this size, being more your super bike style, really does need a center stand when it weighs 400 pounds. You know, but what they did is instead, but they don't put the center stand on to save a bit of weight. But when you're talking about 400 pounds, I mean, God, there's lots of other ways you can save weight, but especially with a sports bike. But they give you this, what I call a pencil, right? Now this thing, I'm not going to even touch this bike at the moment, because it's just sitting, as you can see, it's sitting on loose stone, and that is probably, if I put my hand to give you some sort of idea, this is how ridiculous this is. So there's my hand, right? And you can see my hand is actually longer than the stand itself. So there's this pencil holding up 400 pounds. And of course, it's incredibly wonky. Now, a lot of bikes on a side stand, you can sort of get your two fingers and, you know, grab handlebar and move it a little bit, but this one, you don't want to do that. You blow on it and it will, I'm damn sure this thing will fall over. I mean, this is so, I'm not even going to do it, as I said, because it's on stones. I had a block of wood there, I'd probably show you what I mean. And this thing just literally, like, if just my hand and I was touching that and I was sort of moving, this would move that much just by going, and it'd go and rock. And my God, they really need, I'm actually going to put on something far more substantial. I know Ducatis are a bit bigger, a bit longer, and a bit stronger than that, and Ducatis are okay, but this is definitely not okay. So that's a quirk. Wouldn't call that a feature. Now, another weird thing is this rear seat. Very ordinary looking rear seat, but I guarantee you, if you've never had one of these bikes, like I've never had one of these bikes before, you would actually spend a good day trying to figure out how on earth does this seat come off. When you look at it, you think, oh yeah, it must be, there's no obvious lugs sitting around, so it must just clip on and clip off. Well, no, it does not clip on and clip off, right? But then you've got, and I thought, you know what, I bet you it's got a couple of lugs that go through the back of maybe here, and you go down and undo it. So what I did is what I'll do now. So I took the there's a key there. Okay, I hope that, oops, I didn't get it. I might have to drop the camera. You can take a picture of the dog in the meantime. Oops. Oh, it's coming off. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so nice doggy. Look at the doggy. So what I did is I did this. I took it off, right? I thought, okay, so I'm going to hit the lugs here somewhere. You can't see because it's a bit dark, but there are actually no lugs. There's nothing in the back once you take this off that goes to the seat. I thought, that's interesting. Well, that doesn't work. So I'm just going to put this back on, one-handed, which I think I might be able to do. All right. Now, and I thought, well, maybe it's underneath. But if you go underneath, there is nothing there. You got this great grille thing, and you got the frame, and you got the back of that. There's nothing there. So I went around the other side, and of course same thing. And I thought, how on earth does this come off? And I honestly can't remember whether I looked it up online. There was nothing online really about these bikes. So there is 2004, but the early ones, this is a 2002, so 2001s, 2003s. Don't really cut it on the internet. Yeah, no one's really interested in them anymore. Now, but I don't know whether I just looked up, it's not in the manual. I don't have a user manual, right, because it would definitely be in that. I do have a workshop manual, but it wasn't in that. So I have ordered a owner manual online, but it hasn't arrived yet. So I was flicking around trying to move this, I was actually looking for clips, like clips you could pull in and out. And then, lo and behold, if you look at that, there's a nut. I don't know if that's in focus, but if you pull this seat right back, this corner, there's this, I'll try to get this. Oh, did I lose it? Oh, I can't even see it anymore. There it is. So see that? That's a nut under the seat, but it's under the corner. And look how much I have to press up on this seat. Now I'm thinking, is that the bike? Sorry, is that the seat? And it is, right? So it's got a nut there, and similarly, it's got a nut on this side. Oh, and there it is. If I can show you. There's a nut there, so that's it there. But here's the, sorry, we're going out of focus. But here's the crazy thing: you have to pull this up so much because it's an Allen key to get an angle in onto that Allen key that you almost sort of break these corners off. Well, so far they haven't done that in all the years of riding, which is surprising. But I just thought that was a quirk. But I also think that's really, really dumb for Aprilia to do that. And now what I might do is go for a little righty. I'm not going to do any wheelies. I'm not going to drag knee or anything on that, because this is a totally new bike. I'm 100% not used to it. Okay, so camera went. So another quirk. Another quirk is the brakes. Pretty decent at the front. You know, you've got the Brembos there. They look fairly solid. I'll talk about the shocks in a minute. I should have opened up talking about that. We've got at the back, which when I took a test drive, I thought, has this got any brake? And now looking at it, that disc, it's another Brembo, so you think it'd be fairly good, but that disc is so small that couldn't stop a baby's pram. I mean, seriously. So what I'm going to do is put a bigger disc, bigger Brembo on it. And as I said, I'll certainly find out on this ride, but I thought it needed, you know, bleeding, you know, whatever maybe you could do with some new lines or whatever. But seriously, that is, if you compare that to the wheel, that is like incy-wincy tiny. And no wonder, since I actually did read online later on that these things are notorious for their back brakes being pretty damn useless, which is no good, because you want to use, you know, both brakes, of course. And the back brake, you know, especially at slow speeds, and when you want to stop quick, yeah, all that sort of stuff, usual stuff. Now, this is, as mentioned earlier, this is a 2002 RSV1000 or 1000. It is not the R. You have the RSV1000R and you have the RSV1000 factory. Now, the difference between the base model is this one has Showa forks. Nothing embarrassing about that. They're great. You know, they have a huge racing history. Running around Irish roads, there's no way I'd use the full extent of that. And it has a Borg sax, so I can get it and get that in focus maybe. It's a bit rubbishy, but that's a Borg sax, so that's a fantastic, you know, I think Ford Racing used to use a lot of sax suspension. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but that's also a really decent one. Now, the other Aprilia is a little bit more money, but not that much more money, come out with Öhlins. You know, they come up with the typical gold Öhlins front forks and Öhlins rear, and a few other bits and pieces as well. And what you're getting for the value of the bike is probably on an Aprilia, on a modern day Aprilia, modern being probably anything from, you know, this model up to the modern bikes. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You can buy one of these for, you know, £3,000 to £4,000, which is like 6,000 or 7,000 euros, which a model that's quite a few years younger than this one. You can get like a 2010 or something, or a 2008 with all the Öhlins and the full kit. And yeah, otherwise, if you're going to put Öhlins and stuff on yourself, then that's thousands more. But you know, these bikes, these Aprilias, come with all that. Now, I do have a few different mufflers. This has just got the standard Aprilia Racing, but I'll talk about the mufflers in another video. I think it's about time to go for a little run. Okay, so here's the deal. I haven't got a GoPro. I bought it at a GoPro 7. I'm not ordering a GoPro 8, which is twice the price. I don't think you get twice as much. I mean, GoPro 7 is perfectly fine. It shoots 4K. Does everything that it needs. So, difference between 200 euros. I'm not going to get the latest date, so I don't need it. And everyone else is still using the GoPro 7 quite happily, so it's fine. Now, so what I am using is this Boblov, which is like a police cam thing, but it's on my jacket and it's very wonky, and I've got no idea what it's shooting, and I'm not going to take all my gear off and take the camera off now. Hopefully it won't fall on the road. So we'll see, won't we? Okay. Need to rocky the rolls, Papa. I don't know, you're probably seeing a lot of dash there. See if I can get this up a bit higher. Maybe. So I have to lean fairly forward. So you're probably getting a whole heap of dash and not much else. I don't know. Can't really manipulate or put this anywhere else on the jacket. So yeah, we'll see. Turn on. Yeah, if I get off here, if I cold, okay, cold as sky. Oops. Come on. Shut up. Hey, fuck off! Hey, dog, fuck! Get off! Bad dog! What's the puppy? Get off! Shut up! Fucking dog, I'm gonna take the dog back. Oh, this is the real fucking shit. Fucking stupid mother. Take the dog back. What a pain in the ass. Take that stupid fucking dog. It's gonna follow me up the road. Damn. Dumb dog. Come here. You're going to go all the way back. Okay, so that was a bit of an interruption with the doggy, Nero. He just wanted to... Usually they hang back. If I'm in a car, they hang back and they stay at home. But Nero was just going to run all the way to the gate, all the way to the road and up the road and just try to bite the tyres of his bike. So I had to walk him all the way back rather than ride back. Because this is a very... slippery, stony road on these tyres. Now the other thing is, talking about tyres, the guy that owned it before had about 10 years. He obviously didn't have the tyres for 10 years. They look fairly good, but if you notice, there's a big flat spot here because it was all city riding, and there's nothing here. So if you actually went into a tight corner, I'd imagine it would sort of tilt or something. It wouldn't be a smooth turn, so I have to be aware of that, but we're not doing any racing. So I'm going to have to do a voiceover once this, on the video once the bike starts, because this is just one of those Boblov camera things. It's not a, you know, like a GoPro or anything. So yeah, I'll just do a voiceover later, and we'll pick up the sound of the bike, but my voice won't be able to compete with that. Hopefully those gates are going to stay open. Probably not by the time I get on. No. It needs a bit of grease. Yeah. Open sesame, dude. Okay. First don't succeed. Try again. Okay, motherfucker. Let's get up. No doubt they're gonna go again. Okay, at this point you do not want to hear that horrible sound coming from that Boblov body cam. As I said, I'm not using it at the moment, and after this experience I will never use this Boblov ever again. As you can see, I can't keep it on my jacket straight. You're seeing more of the tank and the instrument and the fairing, and maybe a little bit left hand side, although you can see through the windshield, although it's a bit dark a little bit. But you know, first run, I don't have the right gear, so I'm going to get the right gear obviously in a future time. But what I'd like to talk about is actually our first impressions on this first ride. Okay, first impressions is the front is really super light, and I mean I actually thought, at first I thought, because when I was on the Stones on a little track there, I actually thought, gee, tyre flat, and I stopped the bike and had a look, and it's tyre flat? No, okay. But now I'm on the road. It's very extremely light on the front end, so that's something I'm going to have to adjust. Now, fortunately, the shower forks and the rear Sachs suspension is completely adjustable every which way, so that's really cool. So I'll have to spend a bit of time setting up that properly, because the front end is just a little bit too light for my liking. Another funny thing is, as mentioned, I've ridden many, I've owned quite a few and ridden countless V-twins. Used to work on a lot of V-twins, all sorts of V-twins from all sorts of brands. And this V-twin, funnily enough, Aprilia, which I've never ridden before, again as mentioned, this V-twin is really super smooth. I think what was happening is both Aprilia and s.h.i.t, when they were coming up with these super bikes, in a lot of ways when you get up to 1000cc, we're sort of competing, I think, or wanting to compete with the Japanese with inline 4s, which are of course super smooth, unless you get a cross-plane F1 or something. But anyway, yeah. So I think that surprised me, that the smoothness of this bike, and that was a bit funny because I don't want smooth. I want rough, gruff, V-twin rumble in the jungle. That's what I want, and it doesn't come from this bike. Funnily enough, it would have come from the 93 Ducati 750 Super Sport if I'd bought that, because that's a 93, and very old school. Anyway, getting back to the Aprilia, yeah. What else can I say? It's going to take a while, like any bike, to get used to. This thing has got power. I mean, you can't really see it there, but I'm actually riding between like 2,000 and 4,000 RPM, and of course this thing redlines at about 10. So it's just got more power than you'll ever use around here. And I'll tell you something too, this thing, all it wants to do, if you slam on the revs, all it wants to do is wheelie. So wheelies on this thing will be quite easy, but I think I'm going to get a better rear tyre before I do that. And apart from that, it's not much else to say in this first little bit of run. So yeah, it's all cool, all good, and I'll see you next time when I get a proper GoPro. How's it going? You're going to fix up the 3000 now, are you? So what's wrong with that one? Hey? Full of water. What, the motor?